let's go out west to the new Pac-12. They announced their anchor media partner, so their primary media partner. It's going to be CBS. What that means is, well, there's still other things they need to determine. So they still are going to have at least 2 more media partners to broadcast all their games. But from the CBS standpoint, they'll broadcast their football championship game. They'll broadcast their basketball championship game, and at least 3 regular season football games, at least 3 men's basketball games as well. So that's on like big CBS. There'll be a presence on CBS Sports Network as well. Honestly, kind of similar to the Mountain West deal with CBS over recent years. And that's really what the new Pac-12 is, right? They're trying to take the best teams from the Mountain West, add them to Oregon State and Washington State, and see how strong the league can be. They also have been saying they wanted to do the media deal before they add their 8th football playing member. Texas State is the leader in the clubhouse there. They need that so that they can be a FBS conference, that their conference champion can be considered for the playoff, et cetera, et cetera. So that's something to keep an eye on with a July 1st deadline, because exit fees get way more if you pass that deadline and you're under a year. So Joshua, not the final step, but a significant step for the new rebuilt Pac-12. What does it say to you about kind of like where they are, or where they're hoping to be in the landscape?
I mean, it feels like it's getting more real now, which is good for them. And you mentioned it, right? Like the big thing here is the access to the college football playoff as a conference champ. I think that's what everybody's after here. I think this makes a lot of sense just from how it came together with CBS type of situation. As you mentioned, they're familiar with a lot of teams that are moving to the new Pac-12. So there'll be continuity, which makes for a good broadcast here. Also, the other thing, too, that they're probably concerned with is a conference that is, like old name, but reworked with new teams, is visibility and people's ability to watch these games. And so having games that'll be on the main CBS network, I think, was a big deal for them, too. So in a day and age where there are teams that are trying to figure out how to not be left behind in some of the shuffling that has gone on. There were a lot of questions about the viability of the Pac-12 and how this thing could actually come together. It feels like it's starting to materialize as something that is going to be a legitimate conference. It's going to have aspirations of playing in the postseason. So seems like all positive developments here, and I'm excited about this partnership for them.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting what you said about like kind of positioning. We have talked a lot about how like they think that they can be the best of the rest, right? Like I think we're going to start using the term G6 once we get to next year, because of the way the conferences have moved, and we're starting to use that P4 phrase since the death of like the old Pac-12. And I think like everyone involved in this knows like they're not getting consideration as a power conference. They're not getting an AQ in the CFP model. But I think the idea is like to position themselves that their champion can get that spot year in and year out, be better than the champion of the American. And they were trying to go after the best teams in the AAC and kind of have like a super league from the group of 5. And that didn't work out. So I think you're still trying that. You're still trying to position your champion to make the CFP. But it's interesting. I was talking to my pal, Chris Manini, over at The Athletic earlier in the week, and he brought up like, honestly, one of the main goals for this league is to position the individual schools for whatever happens next. Like there might be more realignment around 2030, right? When new media deals are up for the Big 10 and SEC is about to come up and the Big 12. Like we've seen the Big 12 and the ACC jockeying for position of like, who's the 3rd best league. So I think you're trying to like make as much money, invest in your biggest sports as much as possible, win as much as possible for like if something implodes or breaks or reforms, if there's super leagues, like whatever might come. I think that the schools in this league are trying to be like, all right, we got to best positions ourselves for that. Maybe this isn't like the longest of term decisions, but an important short and medium term one. And so I think that's also really important to keep in mind too.
No, I think it's a great point, because as we look at it and everybody talks about it, it feels like things are starting to fall into place for now, but the landscape is ever changing. And so to your point, being in position to say that, hey, we were some of the schools that were able to shine, not necessarily being in the biggest conferences that are most highly capitalized. They're trying to put themselves in that framework to be in the decisions when those come to happen.
Yeah. And one other note, Boise State has also pretty like publicly exploring private equity more so than others. So they're looking at everything. They're leaving no stone unturned.